The emergency klaxon wailed through Sector 7 for the third time that morning, and Oren was beginning to suspect the station's threat detection system had developed a sense of humor. Proximity alert. Apex predator vocalization detected. Threat level critical. Initiating lockdown protocols. Oren set down his coffee, real coffee, imported at ruinous expense from Earth, and pulled up the security feed. There in the corridor outside the xenobiology nursery stood Veki, all 60 centimeters of her, covered in downy purple fur that hadn't yet grown into the sleek, obsidian coat of an adult Carthene. Her oversized paws looked like she'd borrowed them from a creature 3 times her size, and her tail swished with the uncoordinated enthusiasm of youth. She opened her mouth, revealing a row of needle-sharp teeth that would one day tear through starship hull plating. What emerged was somewhere between a squeak and a wheeze, the sonic equivalent of a hiccup wrapped in velvet. Every door within 20 meters slammed shut. Automated turrets deployed from the ceiling. The station AI began broadcasting evacuation routes in 17 languages. Oren pinched the bridge of his nose. Override. Baker 7-9er. False alarm. Stand down. The Carthene, humanity had learned 3 cycles ago, were the galaxy's apex predators. Adults stood 3 meters tall, possessed strength that made grizzly bears look like house cats, and could emit a roar that literally vibrated prey species into paralytic shock. Their homeworld was a death world by Galactic Council standards: high gravity, aggressive megafauna, atmospheric conditions that would corrode most species' respiratory systems. When the Council first encountered them, there had been panic. 14 species had immediately requested military escorts. 2 had attempted preemptive surrender. The Yanari delegation had fainted en masse. Then humanity's representative had laughed. Not politely, not diplomatically. Dr. Sarah Chen had thrown her head back and laughed until tears rolled down her face, while the chamber sat in horrified silence. "You're afraid of them?" she'd managed between gasps. "They're beautiful." The Council had thought humans insane, but then the Council thought humans were insane about most things. Oren made his way to the nursery, his clearance overriding the lockdown. Inside, 5 Carthene cubs tumbled over each other in a pile of fur, claws, and enthusiastic violence that their caretaker, a nervous Pelion named Jix, watched from behind reinforced glass. "They're just playing," Oren called out, waving at the surveillance camera. Jix's eye stalks drooped with relief. Veki had separated from her siblings and was now attempting to practice her roar at her reflection in the polished wall panel. Each attempt triggered a new alert. Each alert triggered new lockdowns. The other cubs had discovered this was hilarious and had begun a game of who can trigger the most alarms. The station AI, a sophisticated Aldebaran neural network worth more than a small moon, was having what could only be described as a nervous breakdown. Security chief demanding immediate response. It announced in a voice that somehow conveyed both urgency and exhaustion. 3 sectors on lockdown. Supply transport delayed. Diplomats requesting emergency evacuation. Please advise. Oren crouched down until he was eye level with Veki. She turned toward him, ears perked forward with curiosity. He'd learned enough Carthene body language to recognize playfulness, the slight cant of her head, the relaxed set of her shoulders. "Hey there, little terror," he said softly. "You know you're causing quite the commotion?" Veki chirped, a sound that adult Carthene would be mortified to produce, and patted closer. Her species translators didn't work well on cubs yet. Their vocalizations were still developing. But Oren had learned to read their intent. She wanted to show him something. The cub drew herself up to her full, unimpressive height. Her chest puffed out. Her tail went rigid. She took a deep breath, and Oren could see her concentrating with the seriousness only a child could muster. "Mrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr The station AI began calculating oxygen reserves for prolonged siege conditions. Oren grinned. That was a good one, Becky. Very fierce. Very scary. He could almost see her preening with pride. The door panel chimed, and Security Chief Raxthor squeezed through the minimal opening, his quadrupedal form bristling with weapons and anxiety. The Zentari took security very seriously. Their entire culture was built around threat assessment and response. Technician Oren, Raxthor's translator, rendered his clicking speech into clipped, professional standard. I must insist, for the 73rd time, that these creatures be housed in a proper containment facility with appropriate deterrent systems. They're babies, Chief. They're Carthene. They're baby Carthene. Look at them. The cubs had arranged themselves into what they clearly thought was a threatening formation, a wobbly line of fluff and oversized paws. The smallest one was chewing on his own tail. Raxthor's carapace rippled with the Zentarii equivalent of a shudder. I see predators in training. The door sensors see the same. The station AI agrees. You are the only biological on this entire station who seems unconcerned. Oren stood, dusting off his jumpsuit. Chief, where I come from, we domesticated wolves. We turned apex predators into animals that wear sweaters and get excited about tennis balls. We look at creatures with fangs and claws and think, I wonder if that would be a good pet. That's not reassuring. It should be, because it means I know the difference between a threat and a baby practicing for the future. He gestured at Veki, who was now attempting to roar at her own paw. Yes, one day she'll be able to crack starship hulls and stare down a charging megasaur. But today she can't even scare a door sensor without triggering a station-wide panic. Raxthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. The protocols exist for a reason. The protocols were written by species who never had to deal with things like cute aggression or baby fever. Trust me, Chief. I've got this. Before Raxthor could respond, Veki bounded over to Oren's leg and wrapped herself around it, purring with a sound that registered on the station's seismic monitors. The door sensors screamed again. Automated systems began preparing for hull breach scenarios. Oren reached down and scratched behind her ears. Yeah, you're terrifying, all right. Absolutely fearsome. Veki's purr intensified. The station AI, in what Oren could only interpret as digital despair, began broadcasting stress management resources to all personnel. Raxthor stared at the human cradling what his species considered a juvenile apocalypse, and his translator remained silent for a long moment. Finally, humanity is insane. Been hearing that a lot lately, Oren agreed cheerfully. But hey, someone's got to teach these kids that not everyone in the galaxy runs screaming. Might as well be us. As if on cue, all 5 cubs attempted a synchronized roar. The station went into emergency lockdown. 3 sectors lost power. The diplomatic wing began drafting last wills and testaments. And Oren laughed because somewhere in humanity's long history of befriending things that should eat them, this was just another Tuesday. The door sensors, having finally achieved sentience through sheer stress, submitted their resignations en masse.